Okay. We've done.
Oh god, stream started.
Stream started. I need to screen share. That guy. There you go. I don't have any music playing.
Music is overrated anyway.
Yeah, they could just listen to us, you know?
And that's what they're tuning in for, right? To listen to us?
I don't feel like we're the big draw, but I don't know. Maybe we are.
Come on, we have to pretend we are, right? Otherwise,
I don't know.
where will I get my inflated sense of self-worth from?
See, you're yawning.
I know. I'm the worst. I feel like the stats page isn't right. Isn't Luke the jungler for RKO? Because didn't he play, like, Gragas?
See,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the stats page isn't right.
that would be less about the stats page being right and more about the teams not notating which positions their players actually played. They actually have a they have a different player. They have a new lineup. Is the thing. There's a player that isn't there for RKO.
Okay.
It's on the website. I don't remember who it is. Let me look.
I believe you.
Let me use my resources. Yeah,
baby.
Nobakun was their mid laner. He played Ari.
And didn't Goose play top? Pretty sure Goose played top and Luke was jungling. Yeah, I don't know.
Before the stream starts, what do you think Max's greatest weakness is?
Max's?
Their greatest weakness? Probably, like, if you're always giving maximum effort, and it's not enough, like you've hit a ceiling already.
Is the issue that they have nowhere to go? So the issue.
Like if you're giving your maximum effort, like it's hard to improve upon that.
I don't know if that's true.
Like,
wouldn't maximum effort like also imply that you're still
like
you can still be improving from there?
Every once in a while, you just need to sandbag. Is all I'm saying.
That seems reasonable.
You guys didn't give No Mind his kills and assists from the ASR game either. I mean, I have literally nothing to do with the stats pages, so
Yeah, I don't do stats.
um,
Drop a.
I don't.
God, who does?
Or maybe it's because I personally hate No Mind specifically.
I assumed that's what it was. I was trying to cover for you, but I knew it was because you just personally despise No Mind. You should work on being less biased in your stats. Can you do that for me, Maris?
Pasta Boy is doing both Shadow Isles and Bilgewater now, so
Drop
like,
that at Pasta Boy.
The man
The myth, the legend.
I'm supposed to hit an intro video now. Here we go. Okay. All right, yeah. Pasta Boy doing both of the gold stats, like what a legend. Like that's a pretty intense amount of work that he's doing. So everybody should
Imagine,
appreciate him, like we didn't appreciate Cyrene and chased him off.
imagine, one person doing more than one division of stats. Like that'd be crazy. And like, imagine even worse if someone were to do like all divisions of stats at the same time while also running the podcast. That'd be fucking insane. I think that'd be way too much work for anyone.
Yeah, that'd be like an extra full-time job that he didn't really get paid for. And by
Yeah.
really, I mean at all. Um, anyway, welcome to the Get Recalled podcast, where today we're a little bit more uncensored compared to normal because I went to bed at 11 a.m. and winged that doesn't count. No, you put them in a website that already had generated boxes. No, no, no,
So you
no.
went to bed at 11
I
a.m. and
went to
here
bed at
we are at
11 a.m.
6
and here
p.m.
we are at 6 p.m. when I woke up about 45 minutes ago and tried to throw the rest of the podcast together. As you'll see, it breaks down a little bit later on, but we're going to do our best to hold everything together today. My name's Meristematic. With me, as per usual, is Akato.
Yep, here I am, helping I'm armed with duct tape to keep everything together. Duct tape
Um,
and super glue.
so yeah, this week we've got a review and a preview, just like normal. If you guys don't expect this slide at this point, I don't know. Our diamond results for week number 4. Unlucky Retribution took down Landsneck 2-0. Iron 5 with the 2 over Graceland. Team Fish Taco with the 2 over Sky 0. Good Game Losers 2-1. Return of the Middle Sticks. And those Thumb Guys from Spy Kids picked up their first win of the season over the Broncos. And what a win it was.
Yeah, those thumb guys popping off. Finally getting on the scoreboard with their W there. Um, yeah,
Yeah, we
fun
uh
stuff.
we casted these games this week, and there was some interesting decision making throughout. Thumb Guys tried multiple backdoor rushes to finally end the game against the Broncos. Uh, the Team Fish Taco game against Sky Zero was kind of interesting as well. Um,
There was a lot of fiestas in Diamond Cap this weekend.
yeah,
Um, I was just gonna say big results though. I wanted to talk about the Lancenet game, the TFT game, and the GGL game. So I don't know which ones we have slides for.
I think those three.
Oh my God, we're insane. Okay, so Unlucky Retribution, 2-0 Sneck, so that makes Sneck 2-2 now, I believe, having lost their last 2 weeks. This was a team that I don't think a lot of people expected a lot from. They came out firing, they came out 2-0. This week they came in with a new lineup with King Eatloaf in the mid lane and unfortunately weren't able to get it done. That said, Unlucky Retribution looked pretty strong. Um, Great performances from Tien Sama and DC Decay as per usual. This team's definitely looking pretty strong.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
I
think.
think. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say I don't think it's hopeless for Sneck. Just based on the game that we got to cast, it wasn't like the end scoreline wasn't super close, but if you watch the game, it was just Lanceneck being literally like a half step behind on Lucky Retribution throughout the entire game. They were caught reacting to plays rather than making them, and if they can just pick up the tempo a little bit, which will come with getting used to their new roster, I think that they'll still be a decent team and one that we can look at in this playoff race.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of their issues was just a lack of cohesion within the team. It seemed like, they weren't coordinating very well. They were always, 10 to 15 seconds late everywhere. It seemed like they were always outnumbered, and that is something that you get with time with playing with a new roster. But they're still on track to, be contending for those quarterfinal positions, so I'd expect them to still be a team to watch for sure.
Yeah, shout outs to Jack Loves Lamp, who got really fed on Poppy, and then it was unfortunate. But anyway, our next game was Team Fish Taco versus Sky Zero. Um, Team Fish Taco taking it home. Again, it seems like Team Fish Taco now stepping the kind of reverse land snack. They've really stepped up to the challenge the past 2 weeks, and especially their solo laners, Puffles Mia and Azuki seem to be leading the way for them.
Yeah, that and a lot of aggressive play from Heimerdoodles in the jungle. This is a team that I've been saying since the beginning. Looks like they're playing a lot better than their record actually indicates. Um, Honestly, I think this is one of the stronger teams, probably comfortably contending for fourth or fifth place. And they came up and they showed up really well against Sky Zero. That said, Sky Zero, I think a team that a lot of people had, high expectations for, are coming out of this week 2-2. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah,
Yeah, they're 2-2, but I think this is a team that looks worse than their record. I don't see them beating anybody above them currently in the standings, and I'm not sure what the future of this team really holds. Maybe they are able to claw in and slide in for that sixth place position in playoffs, but altogether, unimpressed with that roster, honestly.
yeah. It's definitely going to be a difficult task for Sky Zero to jump back into everything. But if they're going to do it, you have to imagine that it's through their jungle mid synergy, which we say a lot about Diamond Capped, and I think that that's the big issue for them is if your jungle mid is your star focal point of your team and they're just not quite as good as the jungle mids from other teams, it's really tough to build on your
Yeah.
successes.
And in the past, when they have been successful, of course, it's through that jungle and mid synergy. But at those times, Dude Perfect in the jungle was considered one of the best junglers, definitely top three. And then Almighty was considered one of the best mid laners. He was playing extremely aggressively. He was styling on a lot of mid laners. And unfortunately, this split, he just hasn't been able to have the same success. Um, I think that if they are going to succeed from here on out, we definitely need to see a revitalization of Almighty. We need to see him back to styling Almighty, beating people just by being better. Either that or more aggressive bot lanes out of Brando Fam and Mark Hames. When they're able to get on like Lucian Leona, they do have some bright spots. So maybe that's another look that they can take into the next few weeks.
Yeah. Our game of the week from last week, and it definitely lived up to the expectation, honestly. Good Game Losers took down Return of the Middlesticks 2-1. The first two games were just absolute like jaw-dropping performances pretty much across the board from every player that you would expect. Um, the scoreboard in game two doesn't show how back and forth it was throughout, and it felt like everything hinged on watching Tendies and Algu versus Koala and Mortally Divine, and both of these teams showing off that strength through the middle of the map.
Yeah, and if you didn't see this full series, it's really a shame because this was a great series. It's a shame that all of those couldn't have been streamed, but I believe game one was on stream, and it really did show, Tendies popping off in the early to mid game on that Riven jungle. He seems to consistently be going back to it. I'm not convinced on how strong the pick is, but he makes it look good. And then the mid lane sub Algu coming in for Demon Print looked so good. Game one on the Azir, he was single-handedly carrying so many team fights. Game two on the Cassiopeia, he solo killed Mortally Divine 4 or 5 times. Honestly, this guy has taken an already strong ROTM um, lineup. And with him in there, they just look so much stronger. There's just so much power and so much aggression coming out of that mid lane. Honestly, no offense to Demon Print, they've been extremely successful with him, undefeated with him in. But I like the Algu look better. At the end of the day, this was an extremely close series. Mortally Divine, especially game one, ended up popping off, playing extremely well, having some massive Orianna ultimates to keep them in it and pull the game back together. And altogether, just a great series.
Yeah, game three was more classic GGL, I guess. You got Yabyenda just super ahead and nobody could deal with him in that game. And then you had the UKPX Koala just pressing R over the top. He didn't show up in any of the fights, just kind of sat there, pressed R and killed a bunch of people. It was kind of an anticlimax to the series, but uh, again, GGL getting the better of Return of the Middlesticks in that head-to-head matchup, and it's one that I'm sure we'll see again in playoffs.
Absolutely, and that game three, it was just Subienda and Lord Care Bear really popping off in that 2v2, playing extremely well, and then Tendies on the rec side. Um, it's not a champion I think we've seen from him yet this split, and he looked really uncomfortable on it. So I'm not sure if they're going to put more games in on it, but it was kind of unfortunate that that's how the series ended.
Yeah.
But altogether, great series.
Crazy idea. What if Return of the Middlesticks ran Demon Print bot with Algu mid? Yeah, what if they had like Maximus support and then they grabbed Koala and Vibon from GGL and just made a team like that? That'd be pretty
Yeah,
good,
that'd
right?
be
Maybe like
honestly probably one of the best teams, in the league, if not within, college leagues as well, right? It'd at least be able to contend.
so our diamond standings after week four. For anybody who's missing the joke, that's actually K-State's lineup for their CLAW team that just took, I believe it was seventh overall in the West, which is honestly ridiculous compared to some of the teams that have like scholarships and stuff that they've been playing against. And yeah, anyway, shout outs to them very briefly. But our diamond standings after week four, GGL alone in first now, 4-0. They have the two game losses, definitely look like they're touchable. It's not an unbeatable 4-0. Then you have kind of a clump, not the LCS clump, but we're getting close to it with Return of the Middlesticks, Iron 5, and Unlucky Retribution at 3-1. Team Fish Taco, Sneck, and Sky at 2-2. Thumb Guys picking up their first win at 1-3, and then unfortunately Graceland and UCO still holding up the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, and then at this point, if you're Graceland or if you're UCO, it has to be looking really bleak. I'm not sure what the cutoff is going to be in terms of wins, but you'd have to imagine at this point they pretty much have to win out to have a shot at it.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that bad with 6 of 10 making it, but you're still realistically looking at 4-6 at the absolute worst, and 5-5 is probably the normal scenario. So you're running out of space there. But they have looked Graceland honestly turning in some decent performances. I think if they I hate putting people on blast, but like with a
Ooh.
different top laner, I think that they could hold the map together a little bit better, and they might be able to start taking some more games off of these teams.
Um, yeah, I think that the top laner for Graceland on stream has been Flame Horizon. Um, the last 2 weeks, it just kind of puts a damper on the rest of the
Yeah.
squad.
And UCO honestly has had some decent performances, even despite being 0-8 right now. I don't think it's completely hopeless for them, but again, running out of
So
time just a little bit.
UCO has definitely been able to pull out some leads against some good teams. So potentially they could win some games. And then I just wanted to say for Graceland, my team just played them this last week, and Sea Dog, their mid laner, actually seemed like a pretty good player, especially when he was on Anivia. He was pretty effective on that pick. Created a lot of space and applied a lot of pressure. And then their jungler, I'm blanking on the name right now, so I'm sorry, Graceland jungler. But there are a few points in game where I was impressed with his pathing, which in this league I'm not generally very impressed with most junglers pathing. So I think that they definitely have some bright spots, and I definitely think that this is a squad that probably could pull some wins off of some teams.
Yeah. On to plat capped results for week four. Oklahoma Gold Rush takes the 2 over team name here. iTown with the 2 over Meat Beats. Shme 2 0'd GSM. And Sensei Squad 2 0'd Kings of Baron. Honestly, all of these games, at least the ones on stream, again, we kind of have to temper it. I only have, I think, like one team personally added on Platinum, so I don't spectate a whole lot of their games. Um, but the games on stream, other than the Shmed GSM game, were super close and super tightly contested.
Yeah, and even though every single series here was 2-0, just watching the streams, it seemed like the series were still pretty close.
Yeah, even Sensei Squad versus Kings of Baron, which you think of as maybe the top team versus the bottom team, that series had Kings of Baron coming out firing. Fargo and their mid laner, who I can't think of off the top of my head, were doing pretty well in the game. Um, and then it just kind of fell apart toward mid game as Sensei Squad continued to make better macro calls. But it showed a lot of promise for even one of the teams that right now is holding up the rear of the division.
So Kings of Baron, we were talking about it a bit last week. I don't know if we have a slide for them. Probably not.
No.
Um, Kings of Baron last week came in with a new jungler, Mowgli, who I've played against in the past. And in the past, he's been a big carry jungler, and a big reason that his previous teams have been successful. So this week, seeing that he brought in games on Zac and Sejuani was not the look I was expecting from them. Um, and I feel like this team probably could have more success if they do transition to more of like a tank top and then carry jungle. Because their carry top laners, UNSC was playing Jace and Kale, didn't seem super effective. So I'd like to see a different look from them, and I feel like they might have more success with that.
Yeah. The first game I wanted to highlight was iTown with the big upset over the Meat Beats, basically helping make our standings clear as mud after that one. Um, but congratulations to iTown picking up their first win. It wasn't the most convincing performance, but um, specifically Big Bird Valor. I I was
You
struggling
got
with that one. We have this friend who would continually call the bird Valor, and so now every time we play that, it's to me Valor and Big Bird Valor. Um,
mhm.
popped off both games. Had a 10-3 performance on Master Yi off stream, and then 9-3 on the Jax Jungle on stream, and really set the tone against Meat Beats, who, to be fair, were missing Seismic.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the storyline. Unfortunately, there's going to be an asterisk next to this when we talk about, the Meat Beats performance down the line. But iTown, either way, able to pick up, you know, the 2-0 victory against the undefeated team, and they didn't even get Quinn. So I don't know. Maybe there are multiple champions you need to ban against this team. It's news to me, and I think it's exciting looking forward for this team.
Yeah. Our game of the week was OGR versus Team Name here, and this was probably the least close of the series. Um, it was the game one that was on stream with the Rise. I'm pretty sure. I might be trolling right now, but
I believe you.
if I remember correctly, Team Name here had a little lead early game, but it got flipped on them pretty quickly. The Silas from Rarime Reptar was really strong early on, but he kind of fell apart as the game progressed, and they started to kind of pick apart the lineup.
Yeah, and maybe if they played this game Thursday or after, they might have had a better chance. Because Silas was not available. But altogether, I think that the gold graph here kind of tells the story. Not super close.
Yeah, game two doesn't look particularly close at all, and it looks like for OGR, they've been kind of mixing and matching lineups so far this season. They've settled on Whitest as their AD carry. He looked pretty comfortable in that bottom lane, slotted in, had a decent performance in game number two, and I'm expecting pretty big things from OGR the rest of the season.
Yeah, and this is a team that with Whitus is, he used to be a Diamond 1 ADC, so it's definitely a strong pickup, and I would expect them in the future to have better looks. Just because I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't able to pop off in these games. just considering his track record, I suppose.
He was on the Sivir. Maybe didn't have time to scale in some of these games, but um, anyway, our Platinum Cap standings. I wanted to highlight these. Only 4 teams make playoffs, and these standings kind of did an indicator of where the teams are standing. I'm not really sure. Um, but Shme and Sensei Squad sitting pretty comfortably at the top of the standings at 3-0. OGR and Meat Beats at 2-1. iTown and Team Name here at 1-2, and GSM and Kings of Baron bringing up the rear. And it's interesting that they're paired off kind of like that so far in the standings.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So the colors are really bringing it together there. I God, I predicted that GSM would win last week, and I predicted that they would win every week, and so far they just have not. This team just keeps burning me, man. I don't know. They don't seem to be able to pull out the team cohesion, I guess, to pull out a win. Honestly, I'm really disappointed with how that team has been performing.
Yeah. Bilgewater results for week 4. Sleeper Diamonds with a 2-1 over Weird Flex, but okay. High Octane Gamers took care of business against AVRM2. Return of the Middle Sticks 2-0'd Maximum Effort. Ghost 2-0'd the UCO Broncos. And G5 2-0'd Hard Stuck Gold.
Yeah, and I think kind of surprising here is Sleeper Diamonds actually upsetting Flex, or I would say it's an upset, right?
Yeah,
It
and
feels like an upset.
I think the one that I don't have on a slide is G5 actually
Oh,
defeating Hard
okay.
Stuck Gold, which
Yeah.
honestly, Hard Stuck Gold, they tried a different lineup again this week, and it didn't really work out for them.
You do what you can.
Yeah. Um, our first one I wanted to highlight was Ghost picking up their first win over the UCO Broncos. Um, this game I mostly just wanted to showcase a little bit. It was a 53-minute game that was on stream, and Ghost eventually able to take it down, and it was super entertaining. I recommend going back and watching it if you have 50 minutes that you want to spend.
Yeah, just 50 minutes. That's all.
Sleeper Diamonds again, able to survive Flex 2-1. This was a really back and forth series, and Flex, showing some of their strength in game number 1, coming out with Joey on the Cho'Gath and uh, getting a lot of picks that they wanted, able to take the first win, and then trying a bunch of new picks in game number 2 didn't really work out as Sleeper Diamonds took that game, and then game 3 we kind of got the full powered build up for it in Sleeper Diamonds, able to squeak out the win 2-1.
So, does Joey only play Cho'Gath and Corki? Like, is that just is that the code? Just ban Cho'Gath and Corki and make him play something different?
Uh, so that's the meme, but I've seen him legit pop off on pretty much anything that he's ever played. Um,
Okay, so he's actually just pro, and there's no banning him out. He just prefers Cho'Gath and Corki.
for some reason, it's Cho'Gath and Corki. His Annie's pretty good. I remember from LKC way back when. Um, as an aside, he carried me in a solo queue game playing Kazakh's mid, and all he would do is just run it in and assassinate their AD carry over and over again. He finished like 17 and 16 that game, but you know, you you have to do what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah. Either way, Sleeper Dimers in the end are able to pull out the win, and definitely good for them going forward here.
Yeah, and it's a flex team that it maybe didn't take it as seriously in game number 2, but if you can take a series, you have to imagine when they're angry, when their backs are against the wall, it's still a good team when push comes to shove, and that's a good win for Sleeper Diamonds and one that it sets them up for a good end of the season.
For sure, for sure. No asterisks here. They beat them fair and square.
Yeah, and Xander of Astora only plays like kind of weird mid laners, and he's been doing really well this split. The Azir and the Talia, in particular, seem really strong for him.
Yeah, I think he definitely prefers veering towards like the Talia, which has been picking up more popularity in recent weeks. So maybe we'll be able to see more of that from him.
Yeah, and then our game of the week was Middlesticks taking out Max 2-0. Um, I don't have honestly a whole lot to say about these games again because I played in them, but it felt like our macro just was a little bit stronger throughout. And in game one, it was definitely Boar and Wing kind of solo winning their lanes, and I existed. And then after that, game number two was me split pushing down the entire map while the team kind of grouped. So,
Yeah, I see that KP. You know, you got in there. You helped out a little bit.
hey, fourth worst KP in Bilgewater. All I'm saying. Just underestimate me, please. Bilgewater standings after week four. Return of the Middle Sticks and High Octane Gamers up at the top of the standings, undefeated at 4-0. G5 right behind at 3-1. Then kind of a group of teams at 2-2 fighting for that last playoff spot would be Flex Max and Sleeper Diamonds, and then Hardstuck Gold, UCO, and Ghost all at 1-3. AVRM 2, unfortunately at the bottom.
Was it Bilgewater or Shadow Isles who had the super clusterfucked
Shadow Isles.
standings? Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, we'll get there.
okay.
Our Shadow Isles results. Finally, for week number 4, Yellow Jackets took down Landsneck 2-0, TLM 2-0 to RKO, No Apologies 2-0 to Ascended Royalty, SEAL Team 6 won the de facto, I can't think of it, Oklahoma rivalry, Bedlam. The de
Bedlam?
facto Bedlam 2-0. And then Unnecessary Roughness able to squeak by the Oklahomies 2-1. And I wanted to highlight that game first because it was honestly really close.
Yeah, no, for a team that has been as um dominant as Unnecessary Roughness has been, I don't think that you would have expected it to go to 3 games. But you know, Oklahomies are able to, you know, pull out the win and make it a closer series than perhaps might have expected.
I put incorrect stats in the PowerPoint. Impossible for G5 to only have 2 game wins. I mean, I copy pasted it from the Bilgewater stats. I'm sure that's not correct. Yeah. Why does it say 2 and 3? I don't know. It really doesn't matter. Game wins actually don't matter at all. They're just helping right now
To
to help break
us right
tiebreakers.
now.
They
Yeah.
matter to us right now in terms that they help break tiebreakers. They don't matter in the grand scheme of things because they're actually not a tiebreaker except as like a third tiebreaker after head to head. So anyway,
It'll
back
be
to
okay.
this. Yeah.
We'll make it. But yeah, Unnecessary Roughness, dropping a game.
Dropping a game against Oklahomies and honestly pretty tightly contested throughout the whole series. It we expected Unnecessary Roughness to kind of sleepwalk through this division other than maybe their game against TLM. And
Hmm.
they've showed a couple of moments of weakness so far.
Yeah, no, this is a team that has gone 2-1 the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so perhaps not as dominant as we expected. You know, if they are able to drop games against these teams that, you know, generally speaking, we weren't expecting to do as well, then what are they going to do when they do face off against, you know, like TLM?
Yeah, it is. There might be something to be said about them trying new team compositions, trying some new things with their macro, and maybe having that cost them. But um, yeah, I guess we'll see going forward how they're able. They still have games against TLM and the other good team. I can't think of right off the top of my
No
head.
apologies.
No apologies left on their schedule. So
The
anyway,
other good team. Holy shit.
SEAL Team 6 takes down Piltover Pokes 2-0. I mostly just wanted to highlight this one because, again, kind of a classic rivalry, and then it really sets up SEAL Team 6 well for the rest of the season. They're going to be on the top of that clump at 2-2, and unfortunately, leaving Piltover Pokes stranded as the lone defeated team in Shadow Isles.
Yeah, so as somebody who isn't supremely familiar with the past of these two teams, as two teams that don't have Oklahoma in their name, how's this Bedlam?
So SEAL Team 6 was the old OSU team. or
Okay.
OU. God, they would kill me. They're the old OU team. They were OU Gold, 2 splits ago and 3 splits ago, and then
Hmm.
branded to SEAL Team 6 because they didn't want to actually be a part of the OU organization, and
And because they
kind of
got a
mutual.
great fucking icon there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Piltover Pokes is OSU. Like their clan tag is OSU. Pokes
Hmm.
implies the Cowboys, which is Oklahoma State. And
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
they won the Bedlam game last season. They went almost undefeated in the regular season, dropping the game in the last week. Uh, and then this split coming into it now, not picking up a win so far is really, really surprising.
Yeah, definitely not the best look for them. That said, for SEAL Team 6, Yobera in the mid lane has been a rock has been playing so well for them. As well as of course Heimel and Paladin just always showing up and being really effective. I think that this is actually an extremely strong team that people should be worried about playing.
Yeah. Our game of the week was No Apologies versus Ascended Royalties, and No Apologies, took him out to the woodshed. Honestly, No Mind had just a disgusting series. 15-4 on the Callista, and then 7-0 on Sivir.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a team when their bot lane gets that far ahead consistently, especially into champions like Draven, who's supposed to have a strong early game or a really effective laning phase, and unfortunately, just not the look that ASR was looking for, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's difficult. You can even see in game number 2 they banned that's 480 carries. So No Mind on his fifth pick, maybe even sixth after Ash if that was taken beforehand. Um, Able to still go 7-0. That's a really difficult spot to be in for Ascended Royalty.
Imagine taking away 5 ADCs and he still gets Sivir. That's a feels bad. That chip is still pretty strong, so unlucky.
Yeah, our Shadow Isles standings, you can see a little bit less clumpy than last week, but at the top of the listed, but still, you can only play to your schedule. They're 8-0. That speaks volumes. UXR, I think they should be 8-2, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yeah, that's right.
that's neither here nor there.
Or maybe the win from ASR doesn't count.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, you're completely correct. Okay, so
Okay.
they are 8-1. No apologies, 8-3. Kind of bringing up the rear of that, but they had their first 2-0 week this week, and they're looking pretty good. Especially if No Mind can draw, 480 carry bands and still pop off on his fifth. Um, Yellow Jackets and SEAL Team 6, the top of the new clump at 2-2, and then you have 4 teams at 1-3, and Piltover Pokes bringing up the rear.
Agreed. That is an
Agreed.
accurate
I can
summation.
read the slide. Excellent.
I'm proud of you.
Oh,
Oh, no.
double clicked. Okay. Predictions for last week. You and I went 15-4 and picked up a game on the viewers, uh, which sets our standings up to put you out to a 3-game lead. And the viewers and I tied at 55-17, which is still a decent percentage, honestly. Like we're all rocking it.
Yeah, for how many games there are, was that like 72? Um, quick maths. Yeah, 72 games. It's surprising that we're all sitting so close together, and for the most part, we're all relatively correct in our predictions. That said, 3 games is 3 games, and I'm smurfing still. You guys need to catch up. Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that I'm apparently better at Diamond than anybody else, but I'm also the worst at Bilgewater, which is my own division. So, bit
No,
unlucky.
I'm terrible at Diamond. I'm terrible at Bilgewater, but Shadow Owls, man, I got Shadow Owls on lockdown.
Yeah. Our diamond schedule for week number 5. Lansneck take on the UCO Broncos. Those thumb guys from Spy Kids take on Good Game Losers. Return of the Middle Sticks versus Sky Zero. Iron 5 versus Team Fish Taco and Unlucky Retribution take on Graceland University. Um, I guess I do kind of want to touch on Lansneck versus UCO, especially with Lansneck kind of on the decline. Do you think there's an opportunity for UCO to pick up a game there?
There's definitely an opportunity for it. UCO is a team that previously has shown that they can get early leads. and against the Lansneck team that hasn't looked particularly strong in the last few weeks, and has trouble playing from behind, potentially UCO could pull off, either taking a game away or even the series. I don't think it's particularly likely. Um, but if they play again with their jungler last week was L9 Backshot, who had a super good game on stream with Lee Sin. Um, if they come in and they have that stronger lineup, that stronger look, potentially. Um, yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Um, our first game we wanted to highlight was Return of the Middle Sticks versus Sky Zero. This one I had originally picked as game of the week and then kind of thought better of it once I actually looked at the standings. Um, but Return of the Middle Sticks coming in off of their first loss in the season, maybe looking for a little bit of retribution against Sky Zero.
For sure. This is a ROTM lineup that's still extremely strong. Playing against this Sky Zero lineup who's probably underperforming a bit. It'll be interesting, specifically this mid lane with Demon Print taking a week off, coming back and playing against Almighty. We'll see if Almighty's able to take advantage of that matchup and maybe get a bit of a lead for
Yeah.
them.
I believe we might
That's
not see Demon Print again. A little bit of spoilers. I believe he caught the
oh
plague.
really?
He's been pretty sick the last couple of weeks, so
Oh
that was
no.
why we didn't see him last week against GGL. And then I don't know about this week as well. Everybody, send your well wishes to Shivam as he tries to fight off the plague.
Yeah, you're not allowed to die, Shivam. Just because I said Algo is good doesn't mean you can go off and get sick on us again. So do you know if they're playing with Algo then?
I'm not 100%. I,
Okay.
I've been living in my time vortex, so I can't really tell.
Either way, I think that the big thing here is this jungle mid for both teams. That said, I think Tendies is a lot stronger jungler than Dude Perfect. So I would expect him to control that matchup pretty hard. That said, if Sky Zero is going to win, it might be through that mid lane, or again, if they're able to draft an aggressive bot lane like the Lucian Leona, specifically the Lucian, I think that Brand of Fam looks extremely strong on that champion. They might be able to roll through a bot lane for ROTM that hasn't been performing that well. As far as ROTM is concerned, it's definitely the weak point on the team, with Four Shot and Maximus still just not looking particularly coordinated together. I don't know if they just haven't had enough games together or what, but sometimes they look a little lost down there.
Yeah. Our game of the week is going to be Iron 5 versus Team Fish Taco. After some reflection, decided to go with this one. But this will be a super interesting super interesting match, I think, because the strengths line up pretty well for both teams. You have to imagine General Vici, Akato, Saber as two of the stronger solo lanes plus jungle combo versus Suzuki, Heimerdoodles, Puffles, Mia. We can almost kind of ignore the bot lane for the time being, um, but it sets up a really interesting clash of similar styles.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup, especially with, as I've been saying, TFT is a team that looks stronger than their actual record. Whereas the Iron 5 haven't really shown that they can play against one of the stronger teams within the league. Their 3 wins are coming against all 3 teams who are in the bottom of the standings. And their 1 loss coming against the one team that's above them in the standings, ROTM. So it's definitely a week to prove themselves, I think, to actually show that they deserve to be at the top. That said, TFT definitely has ways to win this, especially through Puffles Mia, especially through Heimerdoodles. And if we remember back to last split, Demon Repent was the big carry for that TFT lineup, so he definitely is still able to do that, and that's something have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. Um, the other predictions, everything kind of went the way you would expect in the predictions for this week. I believe I didn't make a slide for it because again, time vortex, but we actually agreed completely with the viewers. There were no changes on those. Um, Unfortunately, you guys will have to trust me. I'm just going to read our predictions off of where we make them, and then I'll show you all the viewer predictions at the end because, as I said, time vortex and everything kind of fell apart. So here we go. Here's the fall apart part. Cool. Platinum schedule. Oklahoma Gold Rush versus the Meat Beats. Team Name Here versus Shmeh. iTown versus Sensei Squad. And Kings of Baron versus Gecko Slammer Armageddon. Um, honestly should be kind of an interesting week. Uh, I'm particularly looking, other than our game of the week, which will be OGR versus TMB, which we'll talk a little bit about. I'm particularly looking at the iTown versus Sensei Squad game to see if iTown is able to continue on their success that they found against Meat Beats.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting because iTown is going from one undefeated team to the next. I believe Sensei Squad is still undefeated.
Hmm.
Um, this is if they're able to beat the Sensei Squad as well, that really puts them in a spot to contend for the top of the leaderboard. If they're showing that they can beat these two extremely strong teams, um, that's a really good look for them.
Yeah,
That said, I'm not sure if I would be willing to put down money that they'll win this. I think Sensei Squad is still looking pretty strong in this league.
yeah, and then Kings of Baron versus GSM is our 0-3 versus 0-3 matchup. So one of those teams will come out with their first win this week and be looking at maybe an opportunity to climb up the standings. The other, again, pretty much eliminated, honestly. If you start 0-4, the best you can do then is 3-4, which probably won't get you up to fourth.
Probably not. This might be elimination for them. And I think that this could be a really close series, especially with Kings of Baron coming in with that revitalized lineup. If they're able to see Mowgli on a carry, they might have a better look against the GSM lineup that just hasn't been performing recently. Um, and maybe GSM will be able to find their groove and bounce back and pick up a win here.
Yeah. So you and I have picked Meat Beats, Schmet, and Sensei Squad, and then I have GSM and you have Kings of Baron
Oh,
as
baby.
our picks this week.
I have picked GSM too many times.
They've hurt you too
Um,
much. Got to go with Kings of Baron then.
they have. If they finally win this week, I mean, I'll be happy for them, but I will be very sad for my predictions and that I'm unable to pick their games right.
Yeah. Our game of the week is. Oh, I forgot completely about this slide. I made it. OGR versus the Meat Beats is going to be our game of the week. Um, again, this will be a super tightly contested game. Both teams coming in at 2-1. If Seismic is there, it is kind of the determining factor in my prediction. I'll be honest. If Seismic is there, I think I favor Meat Beats just because they have the two-headed monster of Seismic and Biscuit Titchbit. But if they don't have Seismic there, then I definitely think OGR can take it.
Yeah, they need the seismic to their titch bit. Um, but OGR is definitely a team that's with the revitalized lineup, is looking relatively strong. And they might match up pretty well into TMB. I would assume that I would hope that Seismic is there. Um,
I think
but
I think they need him to be there, regardless of whether we're hoping or
yeah,
not.
probably. But either way, I think that this could be a really close series.
All right, just running through Bilgewater then. Weird Flex but okay versus Hardstuck Gold. Ghost versus G5. UCO versus Return of the Middle Sticks. Max versus Hog. And Sleeper Diamonds versus AVRM2. Honestly, this is a pretty lackluster schedule for this week. I'll be entirely honest. Um, Flex versus Hardstuck Gold will be kind of an interesting bout, but unfortunately, there's kind of only one game we can really highlight, which will be Maximum Effort versus High Octane Gamers. Ugh.
Yeah, and Maximum Effort is a team that even though they're 2-2 has showed some really bright spots, especially around, we've said it I think every week. The Revan Christ has been playing so well in that mid lane for Maximum Effort and seems to be a massive win condition for this team. That said, Hog is 4-0 coming into this week. They've been looking extremely strong. Um, yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, and if I think what Maximum Effort's really been missing is just that secondary carry. Somebody, if Revan Christ, maybe not having a weaker game, but if it they just need another big damage source. If I Know the Truth can step up, they can potentially match up pretty well against the High Octane Gamers squad, who
Yeah,
I think they play really well together as a team, but they don't have that just outstanding star player on their lineup.
you're not wrong. They don't have the big name that's just carrying every game, whereas Maximum Effort just kind of is that. But if Maximum Effort is able to find somebody else who's able to contribute, not everyone can pop off every game. Uh, and they could definitely look like a much stronger team if they are able to find that secondary carry.
Yeah, in terms of our predictions, just for public sake, I guess, we have Flex G5, Return of the Middle Sticks, High Octane Gamers, and Sleeper Diamonds as both of our predictions, agreeing
Oh
across the
man.
board.
So far between our two, we have matched on everything except for the
GSM.
Kings of Baron GSM game.
And then Shadow Isles schedule. Oklahomies versus Landstack, Piltover Pokes versus Unnecessary Roughness, Ascended Royalty versus SEAL Team 6, RKO versus No Apologies, and TLM versus Yellow Jackets. Um, the game I think that will be closest this week, or at least a potential divergence, will be Oklahomies versus Landsnack. Both of them are tied in the standings right now at 1-3. Uh, I think I personally think that Oklahomies is favored, although you have picked Landsnack, so we're disagreeing on that one.
You got to believe in the Snack boys, man. They're popping off. That said, I actually think there are going to be a few really close games. ASR with the new lineup coming in against a relatively strong SEAL Team 6 team. I think that'll be an interesting matchup. And then, of course, I think our game of the week is TLM and Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight really
Spoilers.
quick just Piltover Pokes versus Unnecessary Roughness. If you had given me a schedule at the start of the season, I would be super hyped about that game. And instead, it looks like it should be an easy 2-0 for Unnecessary Roughness. I'll be interested to see if the tilt if the Piltover Pokes can stop being the Tiltover Pokes and can take some games there.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see if they're able to pull that 180, but at the moment, I think it's pretty favored towards UR.
Okay. Our game of the week, as you did mention, was TLM versus the Yellow Jackets. We talk about the Yellow Jackets every week, but here they are
Literally every
again.
week.
This is kind of the first big challenge for TLM, honestly. Their other best team that they've played was SEAL Team 6, who they defeated, 2-0 pretty squarely. And it'll be interesting to see if Yellow Jackets can give them a little bit of a run for their money.
For sure. This is a Yellow Jackets team that's had big highs and had pretty low lows, and against probably one of the strongest looking teams within their division. This is the point where they show that they deserve to be in the top part of this division. They deserve to be in that playoff contention spot.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pull over just this one. Yeah. Um, this is a live look at the predictions. Let me make sure that's on stream. Okay. Yeah.
Oh
Cool.
baby.
Um, so yeah, just to publicly show the predictions while we go through them. But you guys voted for Meat Beats actually pretty soundly over OGR. I'm surprised that's not as close as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely probably a game that's going to end up being closer than that percentage says it will be. Um, but probably Meat Beats favored in general.
Yeah, especially if Seismic's there. If not, maybe you look the other way, but we'll
If
see what you're
Seismic's
banking
not
on.
there, I want my vote back.
Shme over Team Name here. Uh, Sensei Squad, the 90% over iTown. And then this one's Kings of Baron. They're siding with you. The general public has lost faith in GSM.
GSM is dead to me. They've broken my heart too many times, and I can't keep coming back to them. So I respect the viewers for following in my wake.
Bilgewater has Flex over Hardstuck Gold. Ghost or G5, excuse me, with the 95% vote over Ghost. How many votes? Two people believing in Ghost right now. Um, Middle Sticks actually gets UCO got more votes than Ghost this week. I'm kind of impressed by that one. Yeah, Hog with the 31-9 over Maximum Effort. Uh, people maybe not respecting the game of the week here, but still
I mean,
77% getting on the Hog bandwagon.
come
And then
on, Hog
Slicker
has
Diamond.
the heart of the people, you know?
Wait,
Everyone has to believe in Hog.
AVRM has 10%. Man, AVRM has more votes than UCO and Ghost. Wow. Wouldn't have guessed that one. All right, Shadow Isles. Oh, we're 50-50 on Landsneck Oklahomies. We need a tiebreaker vote. If you're in the chat right now, give me a hashtag OKH win or a hashtag Sneck win. Or spam
Oh,
me some
baby.
emojis. Just let me know what your vote is. We'll do a public vote off here on the 50-50.
On stream, this is why you have to show up and watch live.
I don't care what you already voted for. It's tied. We need the tiebreaker vote.
I mean, that looks like two snacks for me.
Yeah, it's two Snicks to one OKH. Lot of people jumping in.
Yeah, really, everyone coming in with their opinion.
Yeah, I guess we're going Snick. All right.
Alright, so
So, okay, Sneck will win the tiebreaker over Oklahomies there. Unnecessary roughness. A lot of people still on that Piltover Pokes bandwagon, I guess, compared to if you had a 4-0 versus 0-4 in the other division, I think it would be, completely shut down. But 7 people
and
still.
again, this is an unnecessary roughness that showed some amount of weakness and dropped a couple games in the last couple weeks, so potentially.
Yeah. SEAL Team 6, 80% over Ascended Royalty, and no apologies, taking the 95% over RKO. 2 people believing in RKO, and then our last one, TLM, also not super close with Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, and I think that one's kind of surprising for a matchup that should be relatively close. I also took TLM, but yeah, I probably wouldn't put it as like a 90 to 10, you
Yeah, I
know?
think TLM definitely the heavy favorites there, um, but Yellow Jackets maybe with a puncher's chance in that game. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. Again, I apologize, time vortex and all that. I'm gonna look at starting the slides and getting a little bit more content out for next week, especially because we're headed into buys next week. So we're gonna have a recap, and then we're gonna try to do something resembling like a mid-season award show for. Do you want to do platinum and diamond first?
Whichever.
We'll do platinum and diamond first. Uh, so next week, again, that'll be a recap of week 5 plus we're going to highlight some stuff from platinum and diamond, and then the week after we're going to do the preview of week 6 that's coming up, plus we'll talk in depth about what's happened in gold to that point, so kind of
And
a,
then
a
we'll
gold
do
awards and stuff like that.
gold awards as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's the plan. I didn't make a slide for it because again, I finished this literally 3 minutes before the podcast went live. So cool. Thanks guys for joining us. I look forward to some mid-season awards next week, and we'll hope to see you again. Regular time is now Wednesday at 6 p.m. So thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week for awards. Exciting show. Everyone tell your friends.